Hey boys, got a video today on 5E from your text, which is about multiplying and dividing expressions. So some of the things I'm going to talk about in this video you would probably already know, but we'll sort of cover it all as a base anyway. So key things to remember, we've got another reminder that when we're multiplying pronumerals and also constant terms or numbers, we write them right next to each other, so a times b is the same as ab. And then when we're dividing, a divided by b would be written as a over b, like a fraction. And then a small reminder as well that a times a, or any pronumeral times itself, would be a squared with a little 2 above it. Okay. So firstly, multiplying expressions. We'll get to dividing a little bit later. So firstly, the order doesn't matter with multiplication. Having said that, the most common way that we write our algebraic expressions when we're multiplying is the number first, so the constant term first, for example 7. And then if you have more than one pronumeral, you would write it in alphabetical order, so you would write x, y, for example, not y, x, okay, as an answer. Alright, so let's do some examples. So 2 times u would be written as 2u together. Here I've got 3 times b times a, so the number goes out the front, and then a, b, okay, in alphabetical order. Now a little trickier example, I've got 3 different pronumerals, 3 different terms, 4a times 2b times 3c. They are all timesing together, so even in here they're timesing 2. So I'm going to times all my numbers together and then add times all my pronumerals together to get one term as my answer. So it actually equals 4 times a times 2 times b times 3 times c. Because we write our numbers first, we would then have 4 times 2 is 8 times 3 is 24. And then everything is multiplying, so I can just write a, b, c as my final answer. Okay, last example here. I've got everything timesing together again, but I've also got just one pronumeral. So I've only got a w, but it's timesing another w. So we're going to employ some of this here as well. So that would equal, if I was to expand it, 3 times w times 4 times w. So 3 times 4 is 12, and w times w is w squared. And because everything is multiplying together, it all goes in the one term as an answer. Okay. Moving on to dividing. Any common factor in a numerator and a denominator can be cancelled. And we know that from our work with fractions. So if we have a fraction, I'll just do one over here on the side, that is 12 over 8, and I wanted to simplify that, I'd be looking at the common factors of 12 and the common factors of 8. And trying to choose the highest one and dividing into both to get a simplified fraction. So that would be 4 in this case. So if I divide 12 by 4, I've got 3, and 8 by 4, I've got 2. Okay, and then I would simplify it to a mixed number as well. Okay, so the same sort of idea is what we're going to use with simplifying expressions when we're dividing. So a little bit of a warm-up. It says write 3x plus 1 divided by 5 without using a division sign. So here's my division sign here. So that would be rewritten as 3x plus 1. And then we know when we're dividing expressions, we write one on top of the other. So this whole term here, 3x plus 1, is divided by 5, so that goes on top, and then underneath is my 5. Okay, The next answer says simplify 8ab over 12b. So the way that I think is best to tackle these sorts of questions is do our numbers first and then do our pronumerals after that. Okay, so let's think about the numbers. I sort of use the same numbers over here. So our common factor is between 8 and the 12 is 4. So if I divide 8 by 4, I've got 2. If I divide 12 by 4, I've got 3. Now I'm going to make that a little bit longer than I would normally. Now what I've got left is AB over B. So the common factors in those pronumerals is a B. So there's one B here and one B down below, if we think about these separately to the numbers. So that means I can cancel. So I'm going to cross off a B above and below, and that's going to just leave me with my A. Okay? And that's my final answer. Let's think about this example. We've got 9x divided by 3xy. Okay, so again, let's think about the numbers first. So the common factors in 9 and 3 is 3. So if I divide 9 by 3, I've got 3. If I divide 3 by 3, I've got 1. Okay, now if I think about my pronumerals, I've got an x and then an xy. So the common factor there is the x, so I can cancel that and that, leaving me just with y. Now finally, with this question, we know if there's just one of a pronumeral, we don't write the 1. So that would just become 3 over y. Okay, I'm just thinking I might do a few more examples with you of this division. Give me a second and I'll find some more. Okay, what about maybe a little bit simpler, but that will be okay. 21x over 7x. So again, the question is asking us to simplify. So I've got 21 over 7. Whoops, 21 over 7. So if I think about my numbers first, the highest common factor of 21 and 7 is 7. So that would make that 3 and then 1. And the common factor here in the pronumerals is x. So I can just cancel my x. And we know that whenever we have a fraction with a number with a denominator of 1, that just means it is the whole number 3. And if we think about this question, I've got 21x divided by 7x, all right? So that would equal 3 as a whole number, okay? One more example. Okay, 9ab over 4b. Okay, so when I look at my numbers here, I've got 9 and 4. And there's no actual highest common factor between these two numbers. So if I think of the factors of 9, I've got 1, 9 and 3. None of those work for my 4. So my numbers actually will remain the same for this example. And when I think about my pronumerals, I've got a b and another b down below. So I can just cancel my b's and that will become 9a over 4. Now you can't simplify this any further to a mixed number, for example, because you don't have the same pronumerals in both sections. Okay, so it stays as a 9 over 4.